Hello there, this is James Oscroft, 1978, with a follow-up to the previous video, Links to the Underbar, in which I explained that A, Trump almost certainly isn't going to die, in large part as a direct result of receiving the best possible medical care on the planet, and far more importantly, B, that wishing for Trump to die is a monkey's paw wish, because Pence would still be president until January, ACB would still be confirmed to the Supreme Court, and Trump would be a martyr to the violent right-wing terrorists and bigoted far-right politicians who would be desperate to avenge him and to carry on his legacy. So instead, like George Takei, we should be hoping for his recovery, followed by his total humiliating defeat, criminal conviction, and collapse into contempt and ridicule. A future which, by the way, if you're an eligible American citizen, you can all help to ensure by donating, volunteering, registering to vote, voting blue down ballot, and voting blue no matter who, thus increasing the chances that Biden will win by a landslide and the Democrats will flip the Senate, because at the risk of repeating myself, regardless of who's president, whoever controls the Senate controls the universe. But in the meantime, though, I'm making this follow-up because at the time when I recorded that original video, I had yet to read the two articles linked down in the underbar explaining that the real danger for patients in Trump's position who appear to be getting better is that a sudden, unpredictable, and overly aggressive immune system response can cause massive, potentially fatal damage, such as blood clots or hardening of the walls of the heart, meaning that discharging him after only 3 days in hospital is almost certainly a political decision, not a medical one. Of course, I just want to stress that precisely because, as president, he will be medevaced to hospital as soon as there is the slightest sign of trouble, the chances of Trump actually dying remain incredibly small. But just as I explained in the previous video links below, too many people are ignorant of the fact that, as one of the articles puts it, there is an entire grey area of recovery or lack thereof between death and survival, with some patients suffering permanent debilitating damage to their heart, lungs and other organs. I'm making this video to share the reality that no matter how well a COVID patient may appear to be doing, a sudden blood clot or other complication can land them in intensive care at a moment's notice. Indeed, this is precisely why, as one of the articles puts it as well, obsessing over how much supplemental oxygen Trump needed past tense over the weekend and what have you is of limited value at best, because just as is the case with financial investments, past performance is not an indication of future performance. So does this mean that Trump's doctors and campaign staff, White House aides and others are lying and Trump is actually at death's door? While it's undeniable that they're embellishing and outright avoiding the truth, it's not because, bearing in mind what I just said about COVID patients suddenly developing complications, he's in any real danger at the moment that I'm recording this video. Instead, on top of the reason that I gave in my original video, namely sugarcoating and avoiding the possibility of severe long-term damage making him look weak in front of his daddy, the electorate, Trump's medical and political teams are, on the one hand, feeling forced to lie to cover up the fact that he carried on meeting and greeting people for days when he knew he'd been exposed, hadn't been bothered to be tested before the debate last Tuesday, and probably even continued meeting and shaking hands after he knew he'd been infected and finally did receive a positive test result, and on the other, having to protect his massive raging ego, which on a fundamental level still refuses to admit that COVID is both real and a serious threat because admitting it would make him look bad, meaning that even if it is a direct and mortal threat to him, Trump is determined to project the Chad energy, as one shitlord put it, of slaying the virus with his bare hands within a mere 3 days. So in short then, there's a good chance that precisely because of his toxically masculine need to appear strong and his narcissistic obsession with the spotlight, Trump could be back in hospital and even in intensive care by the end of the week. And if, in defiance of all of the odds and all of the best medical treatment and advice, Trump does actually manage to kill himself, it'll be for the same exact reason why he got infected in the first place. Specifically, the sad truth that, like his most fanatical vocal supporters. He's a pathologically insecure idiot who's so obsessed with projecting an emotionally stunted 12-year-old's idea of masculine supremacy that he'll literally put his own life in danger simply to own the Libs.